Hi, this is Brian Forster, and this is exploration in the area of Cappadocia in Turkey. We're going to visit Derinkuyu, which is the largest underground city in Turkey. Now, this is one of the most enigmatic and strange places I've ever visited because supposedly it was constructed by the Phrygian people in the 7th or 8th century BC. It's 200 feet deep at least, and supposedly could house 20,000 people, as well as livestock, etc. This is one of the large shafts that goes down from the surface for air ventilation. But my honest belief is that this had to have been either a natural underground series of shafts and tunnels or was done in the very, very distant past with some form of lost ancient high technology and then was discovered by the Phrygian people. Because again, it's 200 feet deep, and for most of the extent that we went through, we were allowed down 10 stories. Supposedly it goes down 20 stories, and without artificial lighting, it would be almost completely pitch black in here. The idea that they would have torches is highly unlikely as well, because the ventilation is there, but it's not extensive. So you would have all sorts of soot building up on the ceilings, and people would be choking without being able to breathe properly. There are supposedly hundreds of other underground cities in Turkey as well, but this one is the largest and deepest. Most of the other underground cities, so-called, are 1 to 2 stories, whereas this, again, we were told, is about 20 stories or 200 feet. But who knows, since we were only allowed access to the top 10 levels, it might go deeper. And there are also government records that the cities connect with one another. So they're separated in some cases by several miles or kilometers. So how would somebody with hand tools possibly be able to, A, carve down 200 feet into the ground and then connect one city with the next? It just doesn't, to me, make any sense. Now, the stone involved is a relatively soft, probably compressed volcanic ash, but it wasn't soft enough for me to be able to scratch with a key or knife. So again, it's harder than what they state in terms of the standard story of the place. And you can see how narrow the passageway is, so how would 20,000 people be able to move back and forth, except in a large chamber like this, up and down the staircase? The other intriguing thing is that the stairs there were put in the 1960s. So before that, it was simply a series of ramps going down underground. And so how easy to get down into, but how would you get back out again unless you had a number of ropes? So on the left side, not going to be able to see. Well, actually you do see there. They're actually, that's where there's another natural air shaft that comes down for ventilation, but in general, almost all of the area would be pitch black if not for the series of artificial lights that were installed. The other odd thing is that it was lost to history up until the 1960s, when a man was supposedly doing some work or excavations in the lower part of his house, and then he broke through and exposed the existence of this for the first time in possibly thousands of years. So again, you see how narrow the pathway is. How would you get 20,000 people moving back and forth through this? It's a very, very strange place. Very, very fascinating. And you would think that the entrance would be in the side of a hill or a mountain, but as you saw in the beginning of the video, it starts simply on the surface and goes down deep into the ground. So these are the stairs that were installed in the 1960s. They're concrete. Before that, they would have been ramps. So now we're coming back up, having gone into the ground approximately 100 feet, but it was hard to judge because the levels are very uneven. It's not like you go down 10 feet and then walk horizontally and then go down 10 feet. Some of the staircases were probably 20 or even 30 feet, and then you'd have horizontal areas to walk through. So this is one of the last staircases going back up again. If you are in Turkey, I would definitely recommend visiting Derinkuyu. Very mysterious, and the entire Cappadocia area is just full of ancient mysterious locations, almost all of them cut into the bedrock. And finally, this is the last level. You can see some mortar and stone put together, and this is coming up through the exit. And here are some upcoming events. In February, I'll be at the UFO Mega Conference in Laughlin, Nevada. In March, we're going back to Egypt to explore lost ancient high technology and dynastic Egyptian locations. Right after that, we'll be in Israel, looking at evidence of megalithic works, as well as the famous holy sites. Late May, early June, it's Contact in the Desert in Indian Wells, California. Also in June, our annual Inti Raymi Inca celebration in Peru and Bolivia. As well in August, we have our annual Elongated Skulls tour of Peru and Bolivia. And in November, our Explore the Mysteries of Peru and Bolivia tour. Thank you for watching.